Roll A, take A.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Newsfeed. I'm Gretchen Kernbach. Today we will be discussing the importance of healthy eating for college students, and yes, it is possible. Misconceptions, time constraints, and having the wrong information are just a few of the things that prevent college students from making healthy choices. Yeah, it's okay, we can do it. VT has the most dining halls and other options. College students are cooking for themselves less and less, and when they do, it usually doesn't include the healthiest ingredients. Newsfeed reporter James On took to the streets to survey Virginia Tech students on their knowledge of healthy eating.
Hi, this is Newsfeed reporter James On reporting right in front of McComas Hall, where we are asking students what ways they're eating healthy this year. So Johnny, what ways are you trying to eat healthy this semester?
So every day that I don't usually work out, I usually try to have a healthier approach to my meals. But days I do actually work out, I can feel that I can kind of cheat, maybe have like a carbo low with some pasta or here and there. But generally I stick to fruits, vegetables on days that I don't work out. Try to live a balanced lifestyle.
Some ways eating healthy is just eating a good breakfast, like eggs, protein shake or a milkshake, some fruit as well. I think that really helps. Breakfast is like the most important meal of the day. So that's one way I guess I try to eat healthy.
This year I'm going to Leaf and Ladle. I've been going there a lot. I really like their Asian bowls. Maybe incorporating like a salad or something a few times a week is like pretty helpful.
I'm counting my calories, how much I eat. Try to go to the gym pretty regularly.
Are there specific foods that you have eaten or any specific recipes that you have in mind?
I'm just trying to cut out as many carbs as I can and eat protein.
One alternative that I actually have done is instead of eating like pasta, I've switched to like zucchini noodles, and it's a nice alternative. You can still use pasta sauce and like meatballs and really taste like pasta still, so I think that's a really great alternative.
I'm trying to stay away from lots of sugars.
Lots of sugars, like what kind of sugars?
The unhealthy ones, not natural sugars.
Any like foods that particularly you want to stay away from that has?
Cookies and muffins and stuff from DX, that's my weakness.
Those are always dangerous. So Adam, what about you? What ways are you trying to eat healthy this year?
I'm trying to make sure I go to Turner and get a lot of the good food there. 1872 has great food and it's all healthy. So I try to stay to that type of stuff.
I'm trying to kind of limit my fast food intake, eating less on campus and more food prep, like meal prep.
Are there any healthy alternatives that you have taken to try to get healthy?
Sweet potato fries instead of potatoes is a big one for me, and then grilled chicken instead of fried chicken.
What's one food that people have eaten very commonly but don't realize it's very unhealthy?
Maybe like eating too much Chick-fil-A can be like detrimental to your health. But yeah, it's good to have it once in a while, but not like every day.
Probably processed sugars.
The biggest thing I would say is pizza, but I still eat pizza, so carbs, but like I mean stay away from carbs, but you can also eat like brown rice. That's still okay. That's a nice alternative to that. Yeah.
I love pizza. Hawaiian pizza is healthy. I'm just saying it has fruits on it.
Cookies and muffins.
The DX tenders. The DX tenders at like 2 in the morning. Those will get you.
Greasy foods. Greasy foods.
Thanks, James. Students often avoid certain foods because of common myths that surround them. I got some listed here on the monitor, and let's dive into these one at a time. In the studio with me is Carol Beliveau, a nutrition counselor at CrossFit. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's dive right into this. Let's talk myth number 1. All right, carbs are bad for you. We hear this a lot, and we have all these crazy diets. Keto is very popular. Yep. What do you say to this?
So when I'm trying to help my clients, I do look at macros, and carbohydrates are one of the 3 macronutrients that we look at. How do my clients manage their macronutrients and their training? So in my practice, I run a very small private training practice, actually called Trouble Wellness Solutions and CrossFit Blacksburg. I'll look at a pie chart and I'll say, who's my client? How old are they? How often do they train? What are their genetics, and what are they looking for as far as a goal? It could be weight loss, it could be muscle gain. I'll look at amount of protein, carbs, and fat in that person's profile.
All right, that's very interesting. I know macros are a very healthy way to go upon things. All right, so now myth number 2, a vegetarian diet is healthier.
Right.
So what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so one thing I try not to do is tell people what to eat. I can help them come up with meal planning, but everybody has their style of eating, and if you're a vegetarian, that's great. If you're vegan, that's great. Or if you eat meat, wonderful. What I think is important is how somebody manages, maybe how they look at their vegetarian plan, because they're going to take away a lower carbohydrate food in the form of animal protein, and they might be subbing in something like legumes. And legumes do tend to be higher in carbohydrates. And if we're not doing the exercise and the movements to support taking in all those carbohydrates, you might see weight gain. You might not. It just depends on the person and how active they are. Again, I try to let people decide on their meal planning, and then I help them from there to get a good grocery list going.
All right, and I know if you take meat out of your diet, what nutrients are you taking out?
So you're taking out a lot of the B vitamins. We get muscle support from animal proteins and eggs. We can put in things like dairy and beans, but then we start to look at, again, that higher carbohydrate count. So you have to watch that kind of thing. I've got some pretty good lists of grocery items that can be helpful so that you don't end up kind of over-carbing in your vegetarian diet. And you know, again, everybody has their own preference, and food can be a little bit emotional for people, so you don't want to say, you can't have that, Gretchen, right? Then it's already a negative thing. So we try not to take it to the negative side, but more positive. Hey, let's spin this in a better direction.
All right, and so our next myth is going to be about eggs. I love eggs. So it's healthier to eat egg whites rather than the whole egg. And I've seen this on Instagram before. This Instagram model was like, I'm treating myself today. I'm going to eat the egg yolk.
Right.
And I was like, what? Like,
right.
Why? So tell us about this.
So eggs are an incredibly healthy source of protein, and there's nothing wrong with eating maybe an egg white omelet, but when you take out the yolk, you take out a lot of vital nutrients that the yolk contains. One of the big ones is for our eyesight is lutein, and so if you take the yolk out, you're missing that, and it can be hard to extract that somewhere else in your diet if you're not eating the whole egg. So if you're worried about cholesterol, you might actually want to look at other ways in which cholesterol can affect us. A lot of times cholesterol isn't necessarily from eggs or fats. It can often be from carbohydrates and how we process them. Again, genetically, how we work through those things is also a big deal.
All right, and then just based off of that, one more myth. Eating fat will make you fat. All right, so break this down for me in the simplest way as possible.
Right, so that word fat has become a little bit more of an acceptable term in our nutrition profiles, mostly because people are starting to understand the difference between healthy fats and unhealthy fats. So when I talk to my clients about healthy fats, you want to look at maybe coconut oils, olive oil, olives, avocado, and then we take away the fats that are derived from poor choices like French fries or you know, made in poor oils and fats. So definitely looking at a healthier fat versus fat we get from fast foods, for example.
All right, thank you so much. Coming up, we are sticking around with Carol to talk healthy drinking and looking closer at calorie comparisons between different meals. Stay with us. Welcome back to this special edition of the Newsfeed. Carol and I just finished untangling different myths of different foods. Now we're going to take a closer look at healthy alcohol consumption and comparing different types of meals. All right, so first things first, alcohol. We're all in college here. People do it socially. But I wanted to look at beer, wine, spirits, and margaritas because we've all taken a trip to Elrod's. So let's say we're looking at beer, on average 153. So I just want to clarify with you, these are averages. Different companies, different brands, it's going to vary.
Exactly.
So if you could pick the lesser evil, which one do you think college students should think about drinking more?
Well, I'm just going to preface this by saying everybody should be 21 before they're drinking, but I know that doesn't always happen. But I think, first of all, we need to be really careful with alcohol because once we consume alcohol, mentally we can just get it going and we don't really know where to stop. So always be aware of that. What I coach my clients is if you're going to drink, drink in moderation and look for maybe a lower carbohydrate or lower caloric beverage, maybe a clear alcohol such as vodka. White wine is a pretty good choice. When you start getting into these higher caloric counts like the margarita, you really have to watch it because the sugar can be really, really hard on our system. And in my opinion, I think sugar is very addictive. So you're kind of driving that addiction the more you drink that kind of alcohol.
So you'd say maybe stay away from the sugar. And just a side note, we all know at Elrod's, they're jumbo margaritas. So if you just want to do like 168 times 5, that's probably the calories you're consuming. And so next, I just want to focus a little bit, well, what's the healthiest mixer or chaser? If you're brave and you're like drinking straight vodka, good for you. But the majority of us like to mix it with a little bit of something. So I have a little bit of a count here. And what's surprising to me is that on average, these juices are a little bit higher. And so, and tell me, you said stay away from the sugar. So where do you think this falls on priority?
Right. So again, our brains really like sugar, and so do our tongues. When we consume a lot of sugar, our brains tell us, I really like that. I think we all know what it means to eat a lot of cookies and candy at the holidays. This is really no different. It's just a sugared form of these kind of things. And so the more we consume, the more we're going to want. So what I try to coach my clients specifically is to stay closer to maybe something with no calories at all. Club soda, you can put a lime or a lemon in it. If you need to add alcohol, that's fine. Again, I'm not condoning that for all the college students, but, or maybe just a lighter seltzer or something. What I really also have my clients stay away from is a diet drink. So if they're gonna have a Coke, maybe just a small amount, right? Just to keep the calorie count a little bit lower.
All right, and so next up, we're gonna get portion sizes. And I think it's really important to highlight that this mini brownie, 164, but all this fruit is 158. And so can you explain to me how, if we're gonna, just portion sizes, I mean, the more fruit is equal to this, and so why we should highlight this, basically.
Right, so if I had my previous sugar addiction from when I was in my 20s, when I came to school at Tech, I could probably mow through about 12 of those brownies, no problem. Now that I understand what sugar can do to my body, especially to my brain, I really try to keep my sugar count pretty low. So I would still, even knowing that those caloric equations are almost equal, I would still only go for a few pieces of fruit and concentrate more on vegetables. Okay. So again, even though it's strawberries versus a chocolate brownie, our brain still tells us the same thing, that it's sugar and I really like sugar, right?
All right. So fruit does have a lot of sugar in it.
Absolutely, and every piece of fruit has a little bit of a different sugar count. But what I think about more for folks that I talk to that have issues with sugar is, I taste sugar, I want more. So hey, why don't you just cut your sugars out for a while and go for vegetables that have much less of a caloric or carbohydrate count.
Definitely. All right, so our next portion size. So we're looking at fast food. Tell me what you see in this picture. I see one meal that was literally all your calories for the day. And then I see a bunch of different stuff. And then healthier, I see the vegetables in there. We have mushroom chocolate, whatever that is. I guess it's healthier. I've never heard of that in my life. But so help me explain this picture for the people at home.
Right, so the caloric equation is equal. You've completely busted your whole day with one meal that's not very nutritionally valuable. So on the left, we see deep fried potatoes. I like the burger, but all the junk on top plus the bun, and then I assume that's some type of milkshake. That's it for you for the day. So if you imagine a college student might eat that 3 times a day, and I know some of them do, think of the caloric load that you're taking in, and we do talk about that freshman 15. I don't even know if that's still a thing, probably is, but you've that's it for you for the day if you've had that meal versus looking at all the variety on the right. You've got eggs, walnuts in the heart container, which are really, really heart healthy. A lot of different colored fruits and vegetables, which are great. The drink up on the right is actually kombucha, which is awesome for your digestion and immunity system. And then salads and a big variety of protein and soups and stuff. So keeping variety is really, really healthy for our system as well.
All right, so we're gonna do a little bit of a guessing game. Just gonna have one guess in here. So how much sugar, grams, do we think is in a Starbucks ice flavored latte? I can speak for myself. I'm sure I can speak for everyone in the studio right now. We love Starbucks, but it's sad how much sugar is in here. What's your guess?
I've never had one. So if it's flavored, I'm going to assume there's sugar in it, and I'm going to guess maybe in the 300 to 500 range.
300 to 500.
Okay.
All right, let's go
Just
next.
a guess.
28. Still a lot, but
sorry. I thought you meant calories, right? I would probably guess over 20 grams.
all right, so
Yeah.
look how many donuts that is.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Right.
I still love Starbucks, but you know what? Maybe we'll just drink it a little bit less. But thank you so much for joining us,
Yeah,
Carol.
you're welcome.
Your insight was extremely helpful for all of us. So now stick with us. We're going to newsfeed reporter Lauren Skinker. He's in a lab here. Let's roll that.
Healthy eating is not a phrase that is often associated with college students. However, here at Virginia Tech's Food Lab, students are changing that misconception one nutritional meal at a time.
In the food lab, we prepare a variety of different dishes, normally like conventional dishes, usually with a healthy twist on them. Today we made salads, a whole different variety of salads, and made different types of dressings, some with fat, some with no fat. So.
Under the guidance of Nicolene Gurms-Greco, director of HNFE Food Labs, these students are learning that a healthy eating plan is an attainable goal, even for busy college students.
So another tip would be having an eating plan, a healthy eating plan, and actually sticking to it is super helpful and can go a long way.
By preparing simple salads with ingredients like tomatoes, chicken, broccoli, and mushrooms, her students are developing healthy eating habits that surpass the average college undergraduate. With the luxury of dining halls at their disposal, many students forego cooking just for the sake of time.
That's a big constraint for many of our students as far as trying to eat healthy and literally not having the time to prepare their own meals.
However, this time constraint is due largely because most students don't know where to begin.
All of the salads we made today are pretty simple, they're pretty quick, and again, you can make big portions and then maybe have multiple meals that come out of that. Another great and really quick, healthy way would be, let's say, making smoothies as your breakfast.
These are just some practical steps to motivate and encourage college students toward an eating plan that is healthy, affordable, and achievable. Reporting for the newsfeed, I'm Lauren Skinker.
Thanks, Lauren. Don't go anywhere yet because now we will be preparing a healthy dish right here in the studio. Stay tuned.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure
love.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back. April 2nd is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day, and guess what? We're not making that, but actually we have something a little better in store. Calling all pizza lovers, me included, how would you like to eat pizza and not regret it? Well, I have guest nutritionist Sydney Passetti, and we're preparing a healthier kind of pizza. Thanks for joining us.
Of course.
So please explain to me kind of what you named this healthy pizza.
So this is a recipe my mom made for me when I was younger, and it's just called baboli pizza, which is what the crust is called.
All right.
It's basically just like a Mediterranean healthy pizza. It's very simple to make, which I'm a fan of simple things.
Yes,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, and so explain to me, I'm gonna get this out of the bag real quick so we can place everything. So what ingredients do we have?
So you do 1 onion, you'll need 1 tomato or 2 smaller tomatoes, and I usually do a red, yellow or orange, and a green pepper.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter what kind of peppers you do, what color, whatever you
Okay.
want. And then some feta cheese and Old Bay.
In Old Bay. And as
Yeah.
you can see, we have only the nicest containers for Old Bay. Only the best.
Yeah.
So what do we put on first?
Okay, so first we're gonna crumble, or it's already crumbled up, but we're gonna spread the feta cheese
Okay.
over the crust.
All right, so now how much cheese are we putting on? Does it matter?
So since it's pizza, which makes it healthy, it doesn't have sauce, which you might like think, okay, that's not gonna be a good pizza, but it's so good. So you just take all the cheese and
All the
spread it,
cheese.
yep, and just spread it across, and kind of just evenly distribute it. Doesn't really matter how it looks right now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And so we have all the cheese on there. Now can we use different kinds of cheeses? Is feta the healthiest cheese? Why feta?
I've never done another cheese, just because my
Okay.
mom always made it with
Yeah.
feta, and I think because it gives it that like Mediterranean taste. But I'm sure you could use whatever kind of cheeses you wanted, but this just
Alright.
definitely goes well with the peppers and onions and tomatoes. So
Okay, so now we have all our ingredients.
Yep.
Does it matter which one goes on first?
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Let's get to cutting.
Okay.
I know we have to pit this. And don't
Yeah.
worry, we're not
I
throwing
usually
anything on the
just-
ground behind the desk. We have a trash can.
I normally just like cut.
You cut ahead? Okay.
Everyone does it differently.
I love red bell peppers.
Yeah, and so you
they're
can-
the best, and they're really good cooked too.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Oh, you cut them differently than I do.
Yeah, so you can just kind of cut the top. There's a bunch of different ways.
yeah.
You cut the top off and then
Okay.
kind of just cut the sides down.
All right.
And those are like what we'll be cutting. Like
Are
the
we
strips.
using the whole bell pepper, or on average, would you say I'm buying the ingredients? We have 2 here today, but how many would I need to buy at the store?
Peppers for just one pizza?
Yeah.
Just one of
Just
each.
one,
I usually
okay.
I get one orange, one red, one green.
Okay.
And then I use pretty much all of
All right.
each one.
All right,
So,
perfect.
Yeah, and so you like cut them up into like, slivers like this size.
Perfect.
And you kind of just lay them out.
I like that.
You can do it however you want. It doesn't really matter. It all tastes the same.
All right, and as Carol mentioned earlier, this is a pretty colorful pizza, and
It
you know you're
is.
eating healthy. You have all the colors in your
Yes,
pizza.
yes.
I love pizza, so when you said you were making this, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yes, it's so good. You guys will love it. But yeah, so you kind of just do the same with every pepper.
Same, okay.
And, it's very easy.
Got it. And then
Yeah.
we also have tomatoes and onions. Do you put anything else in this pizza? Can we put anything
Well,
else?
actually, yes. One time I made it with a bunch of friends, and
Okay.
a bunch of guys were there, and they like love their protein, which like there is not a lot of protein on this pizza, which is something I was going to point out. But you can add. We added chicken to it one
add chicken,
time.
yum.
It was really good. So you just kind of grill it before you. You can put it on the pizza and bake it in the oven with it.
Either
or-
way.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that. So you cook it before
Yeah.
or not. Is there anything else? It's all cooking together, basically.
Right.
So you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about like sauteing anything.
No, that's the nice thing. You just do it all. So like while you're doing this, you preheat the oven to 420, and then let it heat up. And so I do all this while I'm waiting for the oven to heat up.
All right.
Yeah, and
Looks
then you just
good.
put it in for 20 minutes. And
All
that's
right,
about
now
it.
we're cutting an onion. I'm
Yes.
not like very onion savvy.
I'm not either.
Is this one gonna make us tear up?
It
think
might.
we're good right now.
So far, so good. We'll see.
Like at the end of the show, like my makeup's gonna be like
gonna be
running
running.
down my face. I was like, we were cutting onions. It was horrible.
If you do it fast enough, maybe not.
Oh, yeah, I think
But
this
you
is
kind of
the one
just
that makes
spread
you
them
cry.
out.
Okay.
I don't really I'm not the best with cutting
Mhm.
onions. I don't really know how, but I kind of just spread
Big
the
chunks.
onions
I like
out.
onions. They're good.
Yeah,
You know,
I
we'll
love.
just like sprinkle these on there.
Yeah, you just sprinkle them whatever you. It's your
love
pizza. It's however you want to make it.
We love onions.
Um,
Maybe brush your teeth after you eat this pizza.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely.
But yeah, so then
good.
you can how much you want of everything
right.
is your decision.
All right, now let's you cut our final
Yes,
ingredient, tomatoes.
tomato.
I love tomatoes.
This is my
So
favorite part of
good.
it, especially once they like, you put it in the oven, you bring it out. They're all like just like cooked and like warm. They're so good.
And so we have a big tomato. If you weren't very tomato savvy, there's actually multiple kinds of tomatoes you can buy at the grocery store. I usually get grape tomatoes or like cherry tomatoes. Is there a preference you have? Is this the better one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never done it with grape tomatoes because you want to be able to like have kind of big chunks
inside,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's really whatever you want. Like I said, I've never done it with different cheese. I've never done it with different tomatoes, but I'm sure you can do it like whatever you
Okay,
want. And
yeah.
then I'm sure it'll be good either way.
All right.
So that's pretty. This is pretty much it. And
I'm
then
trying to. Okay, and so we were talking about protein earlier. Chicken's the best.
yeah,
Shrimp.
or shrimp. I've done it with shrimp, which is really, really good.
Stay away from
Um,
sausage and pepperoni, maybe. I'm trying to
sausage-
think of all the like common pizza toppings.
No, sausage would probably be really, really
Sausage would
good.
probably
Like
be
Italian
good.
sausage. Probably like some like it would be really good.
All right, now we have our final ingredient.
So what you do is like you have this for right now. You put it in the oven for 20 minutes. It's so fast.
So it goes in the oven first before we put on our Old Bay.
Right, and then take it out, and then put Old Bay on it, and let it sit for a little. You can even put more feta cheese on top when you take it out of the oven.
That sounds delicious.
And then let it cool off, obviously.
right.
But sometimes I get impatient because it's so good and I want to eat it and I burn my tongue, but it's so good. And that's it. So.
All right, so we're gonna pretend this just came out of the oven because we're not trying to burn down the studio in Moss Arts Center. So let's do. All right, so this is our finished product.
Yes.
This was already
Switch it out.
pre-cooked.
Yep.
In a safe manner.
And it gets like brown because it kind of it gets like it depends how long you want to cook it, how crunchy you want your vegetables. I like mine crunchy.
All right,
and the
so
crust.
we don't have a pizza cutter, so
We
we're
can
gonna
probably make
attempt
it
this
work.
with a regular knife.
Yeah, we
do you
can-
want to do the honors?
Yes, we can.
You can taste a little bit
it
of
might
this.
be kind of hard, actually.
And I do have a little bit of a question though. Why
Yeah.
Old Bay? Why not garlic pepper, onion pepper, or?
It just kind of goes well with like the feta and the. I don't really know. It was what my mom taught me to. Let me see if I can get this.
Oh, we're still cutting it.
Yeah, we're good.
fine without a pizza cutter.
It's what my mom taught me to put on it, and she sometimes would put like Italian seasoning on it.
Okay.
But that's about it. So I've never tried it with. It's really you probably could try it with anything, and it would be good.
All right, we'll eat fourths of it.
Yeah.
This will be my lunch. I have
It's
a bagel in my
so
backpack,
good.
but this
No,
looks
you're
better.
gonna want this, even though it's kind of cold right now, but
It's
it's
okay.
still so
People
good.
still like cold pizza.
Cold pizza, yeah.
We'll determine if this is good cold, because I know people love cold pizza.
Yes.
Or you can eat it right out of the oven.
could
Now, would
honestly-
you recommend putting this in the fridge and saving it for later?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
I brought leftover, or I have leftovers at home. I'm gonna make it for dinner tonight, and I'm gonna eat it.
All right, so let's
for
take a bite.
lunch tomorrow.
We'll take a small bite.
Okay.
It's good.
Right?
You can
It's
definitely
cold,
taste
but-
the Old Bay.
Very refreshing.
Now I'm really afraid the camera's gonna catch something in my teeth.
No, you're good.
I hope not.
Right. But you could even like put eggs on it and make a breakfast pizza with it.
I
which
love
would be
that.
really good.
And is this crust like a lower calorie crust or
Well,
why
I
this
noticed
crust?
you got the thin one, which is
We got
fine.
the thin one.
But they also have like a wheat one. They have a normal one. I normally try and go with like the wheat or the thin.
Okay. Thin crust is the way to go.
But it really does not matter. It's whatever you want. And I'm not sure about the I think it's like a good calorie amount in them. But I think it's definitely the crust that makes the pizza. It's so good.
No, it definitely is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I know us out there, we're like Domino's, cheese stuffed crust, like yum. But this is equally as amazing.
Yeah.
So on the last note, you have a food Instagram.
I do.
So who doesn't like staring at food on social media? I know I scroll through. So if you say no, that's a lie. So Sydney, tell us about it.
I started it just because I'm very active and when I really knew I needed to get a hold of my nutrition, and I swim at Virginia Tech, so just like getting a hold of it so I could perform my best. I fell in love with cooking, and I wanted to document what I made, and like I said, I'm a big fan of simple things. I don't like to overcomplicate meals because it's so stressful. And like this is like so simple, and you can put it in the fridge, you can do whatever. So all of the things I make and post on my Instagram are very simple things, like don't involve more than 4 ingredients.
I love that. And this is on there.
I featured this one time, so it is on there.
So if you scroll through a little
and
bit,
you can look at the
find
recipe
it.
on it. It's simple
That's
at
perfect.
Simple by Sid. So
At
go follow it.
Simple by Sid.
By Sid.
That
Yep.
is amazing.
Yes, so-
What kind of other recipes, if you can think about it, are on there?
I love doing things just like with rice and like mixing it with protein and then having a vegetable in there, just mixing it all together. I kind of just throw random stuff together, and whenever it like tastes good, I post it on there, and I'm like, you should try this. And I love trying new things. I love posting things that I found in the grocery store that maybe people don't like think about a lot. And like kombucha was mentioned earlier.
Kombucha,
and
yeah.
That's something I love and I think is really good for you. And so whenever I find a new flavor, I post that on there.
I think it's really special. I mean, never heard of this crust. Never
Yes.
heard of putting
No,
feta cheese on pizza.
No sauce.
And then we have, no sauce.
Like that's a really,
and now we have all this new information. But that will wrap up this special edition of the Newsfeed. A big thank you to, having you on our show. If you have an idea, a story idea, or even talk show idea for the newsfeed, let us know. Send us an email at thenewsfeednrv@gmail.com. And as always, you can connect the newsfeed on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching. I'm Gretchen Kernbach.